Hey, just want to do a short follow-up video to my questions, three-part video that I did last week sometime. The original person who sent the question followed up with a final question about hair removal and wondering why I had switched from laser to electrolysis. And they cited that the cost of laser being less and easier compared to electrolysis, which was more expensive and it takes longer. So just wanted to go ahead and put a quick video out of what my experiences were with laser and then what they've been with electrolysis. So I went to several laser technicians and got quotes and talked to them about it. None of the clinics that I went to had any experience with facial hair removal for men. So they didn't have a lot of information, but they both said that I would be happy with my results, and they would do everything that they could to make sure that I was. So I went through, I looked at both of those, and one had a better laser. It was like I think the Candela, but it had the cold air breeze after the shot, and supposedly less painful and less damaging to your skin. And that also was being administered in a plastic surgeon's office, and so it was a little more expensive there. But I felt more comfortable with my face and putting my face in the hands of someone there than in the original place. So. And everything I read about that particular laser was that it was very effective and did a good job, and it had minimal complications. So the price that I was quoted was $2,000, and that included 4 treatments, 6 weeks apart, and then unlimited follow-ups up to 1 year, I guess, from the original date. And I felt like I was a good candidate for it because as you can see, I'm very white, and I have dark hair. Not usually this dark, but darker brown, and the hair that I had before was pretty dark, and I went through all 4 treatments, and I didn't have much of an effect on the hair, and then added to that also was the fact that I had like white hairs mixed in, maybe as much as 20% of the hair on my face was white. And so I knew that they weren't going to be affected by a laser, and I knew that I'd have to follow up. The idea was I kind of would just knock it down with laser, and then just finish up with electrolysis. And so, but all through the process, I talked to a lot more people who had gone through laser, and I talked to people who had 2 years ago, and everyone kept saying that it was coming back and that it wasn't permanent, and and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted. I knew that the white hairs were going to be a challenge anyway. So, I had to stop doing laser to go to electrolysis. So I decided to go ahead and just wait for a little bit, since I had a year to go back and do that. And I started going to electrolysis to get rid of the white hairs and possibly some of the areas that weren't quite affected as much. And I felt that, even though it was expensive and more time-consuming, like I knew that this was a permanent hair removal. And the laser, it was always a question, and they'll tell you it's not a permanent. They're not going to even imply that, at least at a good clinic. And if someone's telling you that it is permanent, you should be very concerned. But the better clinics will tell you that it's not, because they're covering your liability for the fact that 2 years from now, when your hair comes back, they're going to say, well, we told you that. And so, looking at all that, I just decided that I didn't want to go back. And the laser had actually damaged some of the follicles, the hair, and it was more difficult to do electrolysis on those hairs. So it probably slowed me down in some respects. Now, electrolysis is a huge commitment financially. It's a huge commitment for time you spend a lot of time. And when I first, and it's been about 1 year and 3 months since I started, but when I first started, I was going 4-hour sessions twice a week for a number of weeks, and then I was doing 4-hour and 3-hour sessions for a long time every week, and now I'm still doing between an hour and a half and 2 hour every week to 2 weeks, depending. And so I feel like I'm really close and that I'm almost at the end, but at the same time, it's a tremendous amount of time, and it is painful. Lasers, like picture rubber band. So someone has a rubber band, and make that someone like an 8-year-old who's kind of angry and mean, because 8-year-old boy, because 8-year-old boys are kind of angry, mean, seems to me, and they might have a little orthodontist rubber band, or they might have one of those big, thick rubber bands, and they're pulling it back and giving you a snap on your face. And so, you might get that little orthodontist rubber band, or you might get that big fat rubber band, but it's always a little snap. But it goes away quickly, and then afterwards, it's almost like a sunburn kind of sensation. And electrolysis, on the other hand, is more like a kind of a needle feeling, like someone sticking a needle in your face. And most of the time, it's really hot, like it has a hot sticking feeling to it, except in the really sensitive areas, like down the middle of your lip here and underneath your nose. That's much worse, those areas. Even around your lips, and sometimes right along your jawbone. They're kind of tough areas too. So there is no easy way. But at the end of the day, for electrolysis, I knew that this was the solution for me, and that it would take longer and more money, but I would get where I needed to be eventually. And I wasn't in any way convinced that laser was the way to go. Even spending $2,000 on it and starting down that road, I just decided that it wasn't. I don't totally question how it went down and how I decided and how I ended up at electrolysis. I'd certainly like to have the $2,000 back, but again, it was a learning process. And I'd watched videos and talked to people who told me before, don't do laser, go straight to electrolysis. And I didn't. I was in this place where I needed to have it now, and I needed to see a difference, and I needed to make a change. And so, even with this information that I'm giving you, I can see people making a different decision because I was in the same place. I had this information from other people, and I decided that I needed it now. So it seemed like the fast, easy way, which most of the time is not the way. But anyway, so that's why I did that. I'm going to post this as a reply to my video, and I appreciate you sending the questions, and I saw from your message that there's some things in there that kind of resonated with you, and I'm glad that I could just tell you where I was, and I'll be glad to share information or whatever, because if I had this, crazy, believe it or not, but when I was 22, I had never even heard of the internet. And I was kind of a geek back then too, but just wasn't around, or maybe it was, but it wasn't anywhere near what it is today. So if I can help and answer any more questions, please send them. And thank you very much.